Hi everyone, my name is Maria Reggie. I am a first year Global Patient Safety Fellow at UCB. I am one of the co-lead for the Diversity Initiative of the IPhO NFC. Today we have Ibrahim with us to share his experiences. We'll get started. Ibrahim, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you very much, Maria, for your time. My name is Ibrahim Younis. I'm currently a senior clinical scientist at Pfizer. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So I have some questions prepared for you for the interview. So we'll go through each questions and go from there, okay? So the first question is, what was your motivation to pursue pharmaceutical industry as a career path?
Uh, the reason I pursued pharmaceutical industry as a career path as a pharmacist, my motivation and my life goal is to improve patients' life via medicine and provide them with access to medication. And when I chosen my career path and I thought about what career I would like to pursue, I thought about where I would be able to make the biggest impact at a larger scale. That's why I chose pharmaceutical industry, because in the industry, I can work in one clinical trial as a clinical scientist. And if that trial get approved, the medication that I worked in can be available for people in the market for a long, long time. That's what motivated me to pursue a career in pharmaceutical industry.
Thank you so much, Abraham, for that. I can also attest to that. When I was looking at different careers after pharmacy school, industry stood out because of the impact that we make on a bigger scale, and always patient comes first. So thank you so much for providing your insight on that. So my next question is talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the pharmaceutical industry. What should companies be doing to continue making progress? And your response can be like a very general response.
So I think companies should definitely try to reach out to diverse population, whether it's patient or talent that they can acquire. Like I will talk about example, Pfizer, we currently have like a particular partnership with Morgan University and Howard University, where as there is public health fellowship with Morgan University and a PharmD fellowship with Howard. That shows that Pfizer commitment to diversity and inclusion to improve access to like more talent and from diverse background and minorities. And then in terms of clinical trial, we know the historical, we know the history of the Taxis experiment and many other history that a lot of minority might not feel comfortable being enrolled in clinical trial. So I think companies need to be aware of that and they need to use that knowledge to their advantage to try to recruit more diverse population into clinical trial. And I actually got to say that firsthand as well in a couple of my trials that I've been working on, where we mainly focus on sites that has diverse population, even though we had a lot of roadblocks and there was a lot of issues, but we worked around to try to train those sites and explain to them our commitment to diversity and inclusion.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering that question as well. I have a follow-up question. So what are some roadblocks that you have seen in your career so far?
So the main one is actually hesitancy from patient. So there's a lot of patient
Yeah.
who are completely hesitant. They just don't want to enroll in clinical trial, and those hesitancy come from mistrust. Like I mentioned earlier, like the Taxis experiment, it's a big example of how people from African descent were used as like for experiment with infection diseases, right? So some of those roadblocks they still exist today, and
Yeah.
rightly so, because if you've seen something like that or your ancestors seen that, we have that fight or flight response. So what company need to really start thinking about is what can we do to gain their trust back, and it takes time because when things are broken, when glass is shattered, it's going to take a long time to put it together, but it can be fixed, but it's going to need some time and resources.
Yes. And I feel like, moving to that, like fixing and like, getting better is the right approach. So thank you so much for sharing your insight on that. Let's move to the next question. Um, Elaborate on your career history and your current role day to day.
So my career history, actually, I had a very long career. Um, I started my pharmacy journey in 2010. That was 14 years ago, when I moved from Sudan to India. And I worked a couple of years in Sudan, and I did work a few years in India, and then I came back to America here to pursue my PharmD and then finish my fellowship. So the most recent career journey, actually, I did work as a senior program analyst, pharmacy partnership lead in Los Angeles County, where I was improving access to medication and vaccine during COVID as part of the equity and inclusion within LA County. And then I'm currently working as senior program analyst as well. So that's like an overview of all my career, but I also did a lot of different internship throughout my career within safety. I did internship within life science, clinical development, product development, and HUR as well.
That's awesome. My next question is, what skills would you say are the most important for a PharmD student to develop to succeed in pharmaceutical industry?
I think that's a good question. There's a lot of skills
Yeah.
can the student can develop that can make them very successful in the industry. But the two important one, I think, from my own experience here, is being flexible.
Yes.
But the industry is rapidly changing. A lot of things happens within the industry, and your task in day to day can easily shift. So thinking of the industry as a adapt malleable or flexible career will allow you to grow a lot, given that most of our career as pharmacists is either in a hospital or in retail pharmacies. And these are well like defined structured role. You know exactly what you expect every morning. But in the industry, that's not something that you will be able to do. So you need to think of that and be flexible. And another skill that students need to do that will go along with the flexibility is being well organized.
Yeah.
Be well organized, that's mean entailing like attention to detail, like having a specific like way of taking notes, following up with certain things, because the industry work require a lot of different responsibilities. And if you don't have the organization skills, it will be a struggle to keep up with all the tasks that needed to be done.
Thank you so much for explaining that. I feel like both the skills are very important. My next question is, do you have any tips for productive networking with industry professionals?
Good question. I definitely think the best way you can do it is through LinkedIn.
Yes.
I personally was doing that. And I have something that I call the rule of two. So if you text 10 people and two of them responded, that's a success. So you should not give up. And people are busy. I mean, I myself have a lot of messages in my LinkedIn like in my message. However, I'm occupied with too many different things. And sometimes I respond, sometimes I don't. But that should not stop the student from reaching out to people. So you need to reach out to as much people as you can, but you don't need to harass them. You reach out to them once and they don't respond, that's it, move on to the next person. And also be intentional with what whom are you reaching out to, and once you reach out to someone, be productive. Like have some good question, prepare exactly why you're meeting with them, because that person is carving a 30 minute out of their day to talk to you,
Yes.
and you don't want to waste their time. So LinkedIn is your best source. You can also reach out to your like student alum association and see who's in your alum have joined the industry or any career that you would like, and that also could be another source of networking with people. Another source of networking also is like attending webinar. A lot of companies has webinar where they bring information session about different things, and you can attend those as well. Could be a good resource for networking. And lastly, reaching out to your own network, whether it's within LinkedIn or whether it's people that you know in person,
Yeah.
that might be someone who work in the industry.
Yeah. I think those are like amazing tips, especially like, like the fellowship applications and like, and even internship applications are coming up soon. So thank you so much. This will provide a lot like great insight to students that are watching. Um, Thank you, Ibrahim, for that. So moving on to our next and final question, what was something in your industry career that you were not prepared for? How did you overcome it?
So for me, it took me 2 times to go into the industry. So a lot of people might not know that. So I graduated in 2021. I applied to the fellowship the first cycle while I was P4 and
Yes.
made it to a couple of final round interview, and I didn't land an offer.
Yeah.
So I reapplied again the second year round, and I realized as I was applying, I had to really like perfect my skills, learn how to improve so many different things to be a top candidate. So, and I think for someone to get into industry, they need to be a top 1% of all of PharmD graduating that year class or who apply to fellowship. Given the number of students who graduate, comparing it to the percent of fellowship available, which is I think like 1% or less than 1% of available fellowship every year, IPhO should have that number. So when I joined Pfizer, I realized I was the bottom 1% in terms of my knowledge. It was it was something that I really wasn't prepared for. It was a reality check, and it was also very humbling to realize that, hey, I'm at this beginning and I need to start all over again and learn how to improve my skills. And as a result, I ended up reaching out to different people with different talent, talk to them about their career journey, how they learn, how they're doing their job. And I was able to create my own plan for my own learning skills and how to start doing more job and gaining my team trust. And that really helped me succeed in my current role. So just be prepared that when you join the industry, you are going to be the bottom 1% in terms of like knowledge and career, and that's fine. You should definitely just find a way to overcome that barrier and be successful. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, Ibrahim, I completely agree with that. During pharmacy school, like there's like, I come from a very clinical clinical school. So we don't really have many opportunities other than like, IPHO to really know as students. So I completely agree with your statement on that. You have to do, you have to seek out a lot of opportunities for yourself, and sometimes you have to seek rejections. I remember when I was applying to different internships and I had like different, like not great experiences because you're not well prepared in school. So, but I feel like keep going, like your advice is like, I think it's very important for students to not to give up and keep going. So thank you so much for all the tips and wonderful experiences that you shared. I really appreciate your time. I know we had a lot of technological issues, but thank you so much for helping us out and sharing your experiences and throughout your fellowship journey and pharmacy school journey. So thank you so much, Ibrahim.
Thank you for listening out.